Last night, I, and Zeddy got together, and we were talking about some things. We were talking about the Flash. We were talking about um, all of the things upcoming. We were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. We were talking about Top Gun Maverick from the year before, and how Top Gun Maverick played at CinemaCon. And as Zeddy likes to say, they rode the hype from CinemaCon all the way to $1 billion at the box office or whatever. Um, and in the sense that what was expected from the Flash as well. Played at CinemaCon, and we were expecting it was going to ride its hype level, which people were calling it the best superhero of all time, superhero movie of all time, and blah 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 blah. But it hasn't happened for the Flash in my sense. I haven't. We saw the instant reactions from the Flash from CinemaCon, which were good, but it didn't go any further than that. It felt like there was maybe 2 days of Flash talk, and then that was it. And now there's the movie comes out in just over a month. We were talking that we expect that tickets to go on sale within the next couple of weeks or what have you. So the thought that I had about this hype level for movies, and even the Dune 2 trailer, we're excited about it. We love it, but there's always something else that's right afterwards to take up, that space in your head. So this early level of hype, is it a thing anymore because there's just so much? We Succession's on right after Barry's on, so your mind's taken up with both, and then we're watching Ted Lasso. You want to rewatch Renfield for a second time. That's fine. So then you miss something else. I've been playing Jedi Survivor, so I'm missing a whole bunch of watching things, and I'm trying to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, so then I'm missing some other things to watch. So this idea about hype for something and having it carry on for such a long time, I feel like is over. I don't think it can exist anymore, just because there's so much that the studios that they're giving us that we don't have a long enough time to be excited. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out officially. Or it came out officially this weekend. That's I don't even know when it came out, because I guess there were screenings a week ago or whatever.
Yeah, there were screenings that last week.
Yeah. So I'm wondering about the legs, even legs for box office now. So hype for movies or TV shows that have yet to come out, and then box office and viewership numbers for movies and TV shows that do come out, because within the next week there's going to be something else to talk about. There's going to be something else to take up your time. So. We love things, Chris. We love all the things. We love all the content. But do you see this as an issue just for you personally? For me, it's a huge issue. All of the things to watch, because I can't find the time to watch things. And there are times when I don't want to watch things. There are times when I just want to put on the Cartoon Network and watch the Superman animated series instead of watching something brand new. So what's your thought on there being too much, and whether or not that, is hype a thing, and will hype, in this year specifically, will there be such thing as hype where it carries onwards because there's, so much coming that can just, chop the legs off of the hype? What do you think?
Well, I think that we all individually have stuff that we're more excited for than other things. Like, for me, when I think of what I'm hyped for this year, it'd be The Flash, Dune 2. And I would say those are probably the two big things for me. Everything else is more or less a bonus. I think that would be my rundown. But yes, there's a lot, but I also think we have a lot right now because of what the past couple of years have been. 2023 had just become like the dump, if you will, because stuff that was sitting on a shelf in 2020 and 2021, or they couldn't make it, during those times due to this or that or a COVID restriction. Now we have it, and there's just not enough room in a calendar year to stick everything. So that's why we're having this kind of, oh, you like this? Well, guess what? Look at this kind of situation where nothing has been given a chance to breathe. Even in those earlier, the release we saw earlier in this year, like even a Dungeons and Dragons, you didn't have a lot of time to sit with it because there was something directly after and directly before. And the movies that have made money have really just done well in that first weekend. Like Scream. Scream did fantastic. Super Mario Brothers is an anomaly because who expected that? I think that I think I read earlier it just crossed $1 billion worldwide,
Yep.
which is pretty impressive. But it's also animated. It's an hour and a half. You can't. I mean, that's what people are looking for, I believe, when it
Yeah,
comes
for sure.
to entertainment. So you got that. But for me, like I said, I have the two main things as far as movies go, and everything else, I'll see when it comes out. I do think there is a lot, though. It's hard to keep up with, and stuff that I would normally be all over, I'm not getting to immediately. Like
Hmm.
Silo, Ian mentioned that earlier in the comments. I really want to watch that. I haven't made time for it. Citadel, I've watched 2 episodes. I really liked it. Instead of watching the third one, I watched Superman and Lois, and I watched Renfield.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, what's important to me right now, and then
Mhm.
what will I get to later? And that
Yeah.
list is just growing.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is, like you said that about Silo. You know,
Mhm.
I framed it as something that I can't keep up on the things that I know that I will like, but not being able to keep up with the things that I want to give a chance to,
Right.
like a Silo, or like Cookie mentioned that thing that I should watch,
Artifice Girl.
the Artifice. Like there won't be enough time, or I'm gonna have to try and find more time and set aside to try and take chances on things
Hmm.
because of the big popular things, or the things that I overtly care about are also there. So yeah, I'm having a hard time, and that's the same with comic books as well.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I've had to drop two main things, Batman and Detective Comics, to try and keep up on the indie comics and the smaller stuff that I want to try and read. And it doesn't, it helps that I haven't been enjoying Batman and Detective Comics, but in a general sense, if there wasn't some other stuff, I would have kept going with Batman and Detective Comics too. So even trying to find time stuff to experiment, or go outside of my comfort zone, I haven't been able to find, and that's usually where you find some hidden gems too. If
I think so too.
I had some time before, and I said, "Oh, I'll watch The Bear." There was nothing else, like nothing
Mhm.
else was coming at that time, and it turned out that it was incredible. And like at the time it came out, I didn't have a chance to watch it. So Ian makes that comment. We'll get to it in a second,
Yeah,
but there's
we're
also
gonna get through
the
this.
idea about when to watch things as well.
Eric says, "Yeah, I feel we're given so little time to digest and breathe. You almost have to pick and choose at this point." Yeah, you just kind of, do I have time for this? Do I want to spend the time for this? I agree with that. Ian's comment though says, "I think things come out at a good rate. Maybe the problem is that we rush to see things as they come out so we can talk about them. Over the last few weeks, I haven't felt pressed to watch stuff." This is a really good comment for a lot of reasons. Because I think a lot of people, especially in the podcast space and stuff like that, you do rush to watch something just because
Mm-hmm.
you want to be able to talk about it on your show or whatever, or even if you just want to talk about it with your friends. So you rush to watch something even if you're not into it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I think that you and I sometimes do that, but generally,
Sure.
if I don't want to watch something, I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the problem is just making time for all the stuff I want to watch because I have such a broad range of interests.
Sure.
But I think that's definitely a thing, and Steve followed it up too, saying it's the FOMO, and that's a good point too. A lot of people, it's the fear of missing out, or I'm not
Mm-hmm.
interested in this thing, but I also don't want to be spoiled, so I might as well watch it.
The spoilers are always a thing for sure.
That's the thing too. Yeah, the spoilers, and also that FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to be able to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Steve also adds, for some reason, we've come to almost feel obligated to watch everything. I've slowed down on everything, and I'm enjoying everything a lot more. So he's completely with Ian.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take?
So yeah, well, I agree with all that stuff. But what do you think about the idea of it hurting studios in that aspect of, because the hype isn't, you're not getting, you mentioned it like that the first weekend has to be big or you can't carry on. But what
That's what
about
it
stuff that
is.
hasn't come out yet? What do you think about the idea of like this Flash thing? And I tried to think back to the Top Gun Maverick thing. I don't recall this long build up from CinemaCon to its release. I don't know what was happening at the time, but it wasn't something that you and I were talking about specifically. But what do you think about that idea of a hype, a hype level being cut off at the knees because of what's next and what's next and what's next? Do you think that's a thing?
I do. I think that's a very big thing. Because
Okay.
Flash is a great example. A lot of people we know, including us, we want to see the Flash, but after that first weekend, are we going to go back to see it? Are we going to still be talking about it? What's
Mhm.
going to happen? Or even, I'm really excited for Fast X.
Yeah.
After that first weekend, though, I know nobody's going to be talking about it. It's going to
Mhm.
come and go. Whereas if it had, 2 weekends to itself, 2 weeks to itself, we'd probably
Mhm.
still be talking about it. It'd be something. But I think that these going into the summer now, where there are so many things coming out rapidly, it's going to be hard to keep up, and it's going to be harder for the studios to get what they need out of these films.
Mhm.
But there was just
For
nothing to do about it.
sure. Yeah, well,
Um,
and I think, let's get some more comments there.
Frank says, I've noticed some podcasts are jaded because they have to watch something, kind of beats the purpose of an event listening to a podcast. That's true too. I think we both noticed that as well.
Mhm.
They treat it like a job, and they got to, okay, I have to watch this for the show. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it.
That's right. Yeah.
And also their enjoyment doesn't hit the same if they do like it, if they don't.
Yeah, well, I've had that case with the Marvel stuff for a long time. I was in that camp for a long time where I felt like I needed to watch the Marvel stuff to be in the conversation, and at a point, it just wasn't enjoyable for me. I don't enjoy the MCU Marvel movies, and even with the shows like She-Hulk. Like, oh, I want to keep watching She-Hulk because we're talking about She-Hulk. My friends are talking about She-Hulk. I want to listen to my friends talk about She-Hulk. But at a certain point, I'm like, this is not enjoyable to me. I can't
Right.
keep doing this for myself. Why watch something I don't enjoy because I want to be, in the know or whatever. So it's definitely a mindset thing for the viewer. Absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, though, and this goes for anything, just watch what you want to watch whenever you can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing. We can't always, of course, it's cool to be able to watch them and talk with your friends about it, but not everybody's going to have the same schedule. So you just got to watch it when you can and enjoy what you enjoy.
100%.
And if you're a victim of hype, that's fine too.
Yep.
Do what you want to do.
It's fun to get excited about things, though, like that Dune 2 trailer. Like it just that tickles you. It's like, I'm not going to get excited. I'm not going to get excited. The movie's still months and months away. But, oh, that fucking trailer is so good.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's Flash and Dune for me. That's the big things of the year.
Yeah.
I would count Voyage of the Demeter, but I don't know. I don't know if that's. It's been in production for so long. I'm kind of worried it won't be anything to talk about. Really. But the trailer looks cool.
100%.
The minutes, Phil says, the minute something loses enjoyment, then it gets the cut in my book. Enjoy for you and you alone. Exactly. I'll get to it when I get to it. I think I have a lot of that.
Did he put those in quotations for you, Chris? Is that?
Oh, he may have. Because I know I've told him that before.
Yeah, exactly. Did he copy and paste that from a DM?
Yeah. Steve says, Grabs brought up a similar question a few weeks about comics, how books are the biggest thing. Nice house on the lake, somebody's killing children, but it just doesn't last because there's so much content. Yeah, that's the thing. There's always something,
Yep. Well, we talked about that when we were talking about World Tree #1 and how I was bracing myself. Okay, it's the first issue. It's very good, but let's see where it goes from here. Don't get too ahead of myself.
I'm very ahead of myself. I'm all in. Cookie says, agree, Phil, I'll drop something so fast if it's not for me. I should have done that with Mayfair Witches, but I kept watching it.
Yeah, well, you were hoping for that Interview with the Vampire crossover.
Oh, yeah. They got it all right. Frank says, comics are my number one choice of hobby entertainment. It's the only media thing I buy. Yeah, that's cool. I think comics are, it's a great thing, and there's so many of them, especially when you start getting to those indie titles, which we've talked about before.
Yep.
Even then, though, there's always something to read. Like I opened the DC Infinite app, and I'm just overwhelmed. Everyone's got the chop. I want spoiler reviews instead. I'm going to do that for the next season.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's next season for me. Season 2.
Got the chop.
Yep. I think that's a good way to put it.
All right, guys. So that's our thoughts on how hype can hurt, and if it's too early, how it can definitely hurt things.